Table or truth?
It took me a couple of weeks to get my mask, but trust me, when I got my boxes, as a matter of fact, I still have unopened boxes of masks
So
in preparation.
without sounding like Kathy Newman here, so what you're saying is that the establishment has a very bad track record of establishing trust for the majority of the general public.
No, not the majority.
No, the
But
majority, I'd say. Most people I know are like very bitter about everything.
well, bitter about everything dealing with the government.
Yeah, in fact, if you
Well,
look at popular opinion on the government's like trying to like fix shit, if I may be so bold, although I'm doing my best to avoid being so vernacular these days. I want to have a more cultured and civilized tone about me,
well,
so I don't
that's
sound like
nice.
a pirate.
But um, you know my two letters, BU.
Well, that's fair. That's fair. But in
BU.
the spirit of trying to be a good role model for the kiddos of America,
Okay. All right.
if I could, I don't think I ever will. But
I
um,
appreciate that.
the okay, so the establishment has a very poor track record in stewarding any kind of you know saving us from an epidemic. That's the general consensus of the population.
Well, it may be,
Now,
but that's not quite accurate. And
well, it is because that's
if
the majority. If you look at the polls, most people do not have a good taste in their mouth on the government. In fact, what is it like? Was
well,
it 8 out of 10 do not trust the government? Was that the
well,
latest poll on
well,
that?
again, when you have a combination of the right and the left, and they're always at odds, and no matter who's
Yeah,
in
but who
charge, the other is
manufactured
fighting.
who manufactured the division?
Well, it was different parties
I mean,
dealing with that, and it came down to the two strongest. Uh,
granted, there's radical like nitwits that are extremists on either end that just follow an idea and then take it to the nth degree without taking the time to understand other sides of reality. I get that. Extremists that just give the rest of the parties or the entities a bad name, whether you're like right or left or however you want to call it. I understand that. But the media, and that's the other thing, there's the other nail in the coffin. The media doesn't seem to have done a very good job, unless I'm mistaken, of unifying the American public and
but
making
is
one
that
half of the population not look like imbeciles who turned out to be more right than wrong, and then the other half that just seemed to be very vitriolic towards anybody who would question the narrative. I mean, that sounds about right about the American culture 2 years ago. Is that fair?
somewhat? I think sometimes you don't get what you call generally, as I understand, the mainstream media
Yeah,
is
the mainstream
basically
media, yes.
the media towards the center left than uh, the media on the center right. The Fox News is the Newsmax, the
I fully
OANs.
realize their bias as well. I am not naive about that. That's true. Um, but even then, there's been very little amongst our experts, our leaders, our role models, right? Because he or she who has, or it, who has the power of media controls the narrative. And very few people seem to have a nice, healthy balance of trying to unify people together.
Well, the question is that the media's role is
Yes.
to
Why? Well, okay.
really?
If it's not, then why are we listening to the media? And if that's true, then right now, after a massive breach of trust, I guess, in thinking that the media could do all its thinking for you, 8 out of 10, unless I'm mistaken, we can look up the stats of individuals do have very little or no trust in the media. So the media shot themselves in the ass.
8 out of 10
Let's look
people.
it up. Let's look up how many people. I could be wrong about this, but let's take a look here at the old stats. American trust in the media as of what? August 2023. Americans trust in media poll. Americans trust in media. The first thing that came up was on Gallup, October 18, 2022. I don't know why this is even not updated, but this is the first one that came up and it says near record low. That was 2022. Now,
Yeah, but what is their set near record low means what? What?
Well,
what's the number?
let's look that up, and then there's another article right below it. 34% have a great deal or fair amount of confidence in the media. 34%. Wow, and that's a year ago.
Yeah, but that's still above what you said.
Okay, that's 2022. I'm talking about this year. Okay, 8 out of 10 would have been this year.
Gone down?
Even more, but let's take a look. 30%, 38% with no trust at all outpaces great deal, fair amount for the first time. 70% of Democrats and 14% of Republicans trust the media, and 27% of independents. That doesn't say much about
that's well above.
Okay, according to Gallup poll in 2022, 70% of Democrats trust the media. Okay, this is the same media now. That let's look in 2023. What news outlets? Okay, so todayyouGov.com, trust in media 2023. Actually, no, wait a minute. Fortune magazine, February 15th, 2023. Trust in media is so low that half of Americans now believe that news organizations ... deliberately misled them. Only 20%, 23% of respondents believe the journalists were acting in the public's best interest. That's almost 8 out of 10, yes. That's insane. Okay, unless, of course, the Democrats, according to the other news article, what is it, 70% still trust the media. I don't believe that's true. It sounds to me like in 5 months, even the Democrats' trust in the media started to drop, which doesn't really – okay, that's another story for another time, but it doesn't make them look – in a flattering light if you happen to think Democrat. Not everybody gets served, but I'm just saying, according to the stats here, right? But yeah, almost 8 out of 10, and this was February 2023. I can only imagine this has gotten worse, but then again, I guess we can keep looking. That's pretty bad though, man. So the media, yeah, like even if you didn't give a shit about the American public's health, the fact that say you're a news source and your news is so skewed or just so misleading or just so manipulating in a way that creates division, you think you'd want to cater to your customer base, or else what the hell are you doing?
Isn't that what Fox News has done? And
well, they seem to be doing a better job. Yeah,
$80 million.
But then, well,
in a defamation suit,
their ratings are better than other news outlets. Not as good as they used to be pre-Tucker. But they're still. I wonder if I guess we could look it up. Fox News, how are they doing compared to CNN? I know Tim Pool has more people watching the Tim Pool show on a weekly basis than people.
No, well, that's again
when you think about it,
podcast. Again, those numbers you can't compare it to.
If I go to Google Analytics, there's no reason why I can't compare it. Like those analytics, those numbers, those metrics are still metrics. It's still data.
It's data.
I mean, I like
but it's not apples and apples.
Yeah, you got something that people seem to like have.
Your friend, the influencer. An influencer has 1 million, 2 million followers.
I'm not saying they may be right.
You can't compare that to a
established news media with an entire factory of people working for it.
Yeah.
Except that there's more people tuning into that influencer than there is the media.
Yeah. So
what does that say about the news media?
No, again, it's apples and oranges. You're trying to conflate two different things. An influencer who shows you her cute dog and gets
okay, an influencer who happens to delve more in media politics, like Tim Pool or Steve Turley, right? Has better ratings than a lot of liberal media news outlets.
Well, better ratings in podcasts,
But the majority of people listen to podcasts now. That's why the news outlets themselves have been trying to get into podcasts, or at least get into the internet, like get on YouTube.
When you say the majority of people, where
the human race
really listens?
Yeah, very few people. Most people now, when they get their news, okay, and by all means, if I'm wrong about this, I'll buy you a lot like next week or something. All right. If I am truly wrong, I don't even think I have to look this up. Most people now, when they tune in for news, they go on the internet and they'll go on to like YouTube. Okay, you could watch MSNBC on YouTube. You can watch Fox News on YouTube. It doesn't matter, but they'll go on those channels rather than like tune into a streaming service. they're not going to do it because it's just easier to just go on your phone and be like, well, I wonder what's going on. And then you just listen to a podcast or a news clip or something, right then and there while you're going for a walk, right? More people tune into that than they do, just watching standard TV as they used to. Okay. And so if you compare then, like, what are your options when I go on YouTube and Tim Pool is getting more hits than CNN? What does that say?
I will agree with you. And again, that's apples and apples on the part. He's got higher ratings on his podcast than NBC podcast.
If we were to say
which
if we were to say then TV versus the internet and Tim Pool's apples and MSNBC on the internet, I mean on TV or a streaming service would be a peach pit, right? Like there's even less people watching it on a streaming service or on TV. Do they even have TV anymore? I don't believe they do.
Yes, I watched it before coming.
So I can get like antennas and just stream.
Yeah, it's digital.
Digital TV. Okay. There's less people that tune into that than they do on the internet. So you're comparing apples to like peach bits or avocado crud. I don't know. I guess you're right. They're completely separate entities.
Right. Now, again, you can compare Tucker Carlson, who was number one on cable network for his entertainment show.
Yep.
Over all the other night news shows. I got my air quotes up. Yeah, he was obviously he was number one. So before Fox terminated his contract.
Right, and then as soon as he was terminated and he decided to, on the night of the Republican primaries, am I thinking the Republican debates, the ones that happened in August, he had his ratings that day just on his show with Trump skyrocketed way above the collection of all the candidates that were in the Republican debates for tuning in for that, whatever channel was hosting that. I could look this up, but like...
No.
There was more
now
ratings.
He might have got more hits on the total because I watched the debate.
Right.
But then I also, through YouTube, watched segments of
his interview.
Of his interview, but that was the next day, well after. So how do you compare, again, all they're counting is hits.
I guess thematically, let's make this even easier. Thematically, these entities on these independent podcasters are doing better in terms of popularity, which is all that really matters at the end of the day, because influencers, as an influence to society, they're doing better than any of these news outlets. Therefore, if I was to use logic, the news media is not doing that great as they used to. They don't have the same foothold of control over the American public. But you can't help but go, why the hell did they allow this to happen? Why didn't they just give good journalism that didn't seem so biased and impartial?
No, but that's not why they lost the audience.
They lost the audience because of what?
The reason they lost the audience is that you have people who can go on the internet now and hear, not necessarily the truth, what they want to hear.
Yeah, but a lot of these news outlets, okay, I'm gonna have to look this. I wish I had a guy who could like research this right now. Like, a lot of the stuff that has come out from the news, okay, has been also half truths.
Like what? Give me an example.
Well, the complete idea of the way the Russian collusion panned out against Trump, like completely. There was some element apparently of truth to it, but not to the degree that they were trying to spin the story. Now I got to go get my research.
You're kidding me, right?
No, I'm not kidding.
Do you know that
the Hunter Biden keeping the laptop stuff under the back burner, and people? This is a great story, by the way. Here's a perfect example of what I'm talking about. The American public. If I'm serving the American public because I'm looking for ratings, right? And the American public, for good or bad, wants to know of the dirt on Hunter Biden's laptop. Why wouldn't I, the news media, regardless of who you are, go out of my way and run an expose and really try to get to the bottom of that for a Pulitzer Prize? How come none of them seem to do that? How come none of them seem to be fighting hard enough to try to get the inside dirt on what's going on in Maui, like the post-aftermath of the...
What is with you and Maui? Maui got nailed, man.
It got nailed
It
bad.
got burnt, and we
its citizens
understand
its citizens
the reason why it happened.
Yeah, there was a hurricane, and there seemed to be some foul play in terms of how things were allowed to be managed during the fire.
Right.
Right, and so people want to know what the hell's going on, and not
But
enough news outlet. Like, there's a demand for that.
Demand. We know what happened.
No, we don't. In fact, a lot of citizens in Hawaii. I could actually send you a video.
No,
no, because I could find it for you. I was looking at it yesterday. Like, there's people in Hawaii.
All right, what caused the fire?
Okay, according to the as best we know, there was a fallen power line that was mended within the morning. Around 3 in the afternoon, somehow the fire, even though it was taken under control, went out of control. According to Hawaii Electric, they had shut off the power lines, but they don't seem to have anything to prove that via metrics that the news agencies could research or people. The citizens of Hawaii who lost their homes are not allowed back on their property, which is bullshit, because even if your property is charred ash, it's still your property. They're not allowed back there, which is insane. Like it's their land, it's their right to be there, and there's more than enough citizens now that are like, this is bullshit, and it doesn't add up. And I don't blame them that for some reason the multi-billionaire's property, almost perfectly manicured, did not seem to suffer a single stroke of fire on their property. They just, I'm not an expert, but I do think that's kind of a weird coincidence. Boy, it sucks to be middle class or poor, because apparently the laws of physics are on your side if you're a billionaire and you own tons of acreage of property. Because apparently the fucking land is not going to burn on your side of the property, even though the laws of physics say that fire is impartial. I don't get it. It's a very good point. Yeah, I'm a physicist, and I don't even fucking understand that. I want to know more about how that works, right? So, when people tell me, when people show me videos of fencing set up around that perimeter area where the fires took place, so you can't see a damn thing going on there, but then the people that are actually the owners of that land are not allowed on their land, I think that's highly suspect. Why can't they go on their land? Why did the police so inconveniently shoehorn everybody in certain areas where there was only one escape route out of Maui, or whatever the city was in Maui, where one of these fires took place? Why is it that even if what I'm saying is bullshit, there's more than enough citizens in Hawaii who are confirming that, who live there, and we're like, no, I have footage, and you see the footage, and you're like, we're not allowed to leave. We're in gridlock traffic. The fire's coming. Fuck it. We're getting out of here. We're jumping into the ocean, right? What genius of a traffic cop would actually just be like, fuck it. There's a giant inferno coming. Get the fuck out of here, right? No. Apparently, there's even eyewitness testimony saying the only reason I'm alive, as far as I can tell, is because I disobeyed the traffic cops. And I just went through the barricade or whatever at the moment, because I was like, fuck this. I'm not about to get... Because if you follow the rules, right, and you stay there, even though you don't know why you're staying there and there's an inferno coming, you're going to be, I guess, okay because you follow the rules. What about these alleged 2,000 children that are missing in the Maui fire that people want to know what the hell's going on? Why aren't the news agencies going out of their way to look into that? This is great ratings for them. Why? In this day, here's a great question. In this day and age, with the shittiness of ratings that a lot of them are suffering, why not go out there and run exposés on this crap? This is what the public wants to know. Why aren't you doing it? Unless, of course, you want to feed into the conspiracy theory that the media is really run by the establishment, and the establishment is an elite cabal of globalists that probably run the World Economic Forum that have nefarious plans for Hawaii's real estate and God knows what else. Why wouldn't you do it? I don't understand. I thought the media was there to get the facts and the information. Great question.
Okay.
Callers, what do you think?
They have it, and you're coming up with a bunch of conspiracies.
Are they really conspiracy? It's not me. These are the people of Hawaii who were supposed to help out with the Oprah Fund, which, by the way, that's not going too well for her either, because people are simply asking, why would we give money to a multi-billionaire, okay, who could easily give 800 million of her money if she's so righteous about this to help the people there? The people that are supposed to give money to the Oprah Fund can barely make ends meet. That is the general consensus of the populace that has written to the Oprah Fund, whatever the name of the fund is that her and The Rock are doing, right? They're like, it doesn't make sense. Why are you asking us for money? Why don't you donate some of your money and donate some of your fucking land to the people of Maui if you care about them so much?
You don't think that she's donated any money?
I'd like to see it.
You want to see it?
Yeah, let's look it up.
You don't.
Let's look it up, shall we? How much money did Oprah donate? And if it's only $1 million, I'm gonna have to shake my head because a woman with billions of dollars.
Oh God!
I mean, I'm sorry, but it's the parable of the poor widow, right?
Okay, let me give you a donation on
Oprah
on the right side.
donation Maui. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. All right. After the November 3rd election in 2020, President Trump lost.
Yup.
And then he asked his supporters to donate money.
But what does this have to do with the Maui thing? I know you're trying to shift it on Trump here.
He raised, after he lost an election, $250 million from private donations, local people, and he's a billionaire. Why would he need for them to donate money to a fund that he didn't use?
Couldn't I spin this, though, the other way and simply just go, Oprah, if you don't want to be as douchey as Trump, then why are you following in the footsteps of Trump?
What? You didn't say how much that...
well, let's see. I wasn't given a chance. I was listening to your soliloquy on bashing Trump here and trying to shift the topic, but I'm just like...
You could do two things.
Well, I can't. See, look, I'm looking it up right now. How much... there's a lot of criticism, but I'm not seeing how much did Oprah donate for Maui so far. Let's see. How much has Oprah donated to charity in Maui? Let's just... I mean, the fact she's donating something's noble, you know. But I can see why the people of Maui are like, the freak, you know? Maui wildfires fund criticism. Oprah Winfrey says it took the focus. Winfrey and Dwayne Johnson started the People's Fund of Maui with a joint $10 million donation. Well, that's nice. I mean, that's good. Yeah. Especially Dwayne Johnson.
You just finished slamming them two.
Yeah, because Oprah makes how much? $1 billion? She has how much money in her pocket? Like a couple billion? Is it a $1 billion or $2 billion? I don't remember, but she's definitely a billionaire.
So what?
The Rock, I wouldn't say that he donated. You know, those $5 million was all he had. To be fair, now granted, that's very noble, but like I think the people's frustration is simply the very logical conclusion that when you're that fucking rich, okay, $5 million is penny candy. If you really want to look like...
And so every disaster, I'm a billionaire, self-made money, raise that, and I'm supposed to just give it all out.
I wouldn't say all of it. That's not fair.
Really? You just want every disaster... Oprah...
I think Oprah is really getting the heat because the problem is that she's got a shit ton of property in Hawaii. And people... I know for a fact, because my sister used to live there, natives aren't too happy with the oligarchs, if you will, that have taken up a lot of the real estate there.
Why is she an oligarch?
Well, she runs how many industries and enterprises?
So that doesn't make her an oligarch. What is an oligarch?
That's a great question. Good call. As far as I can vulgarly say, an oligarch is somebody who has like some sort of massive amount of manipulation in industries because they're that rich. They literally are like the point of an authoritarian figure, usually in government, you know, with funds and businesses that manipulate the government. I don't know the exact term, but that was my perception this whole time. Let's see how accurate I am. Yeah, let's just look up definition oligarch. Come on, let's look it up. Oligarch, and if I'm wrong, I apologize, but let's look. A small group of people having control over a country, organization, or institution. That sounds about right. Okay. I don't think I'm wrong. I'm just not using the right terms. Let me just grab some more cereal, please. Keep researching. We'll be right back, man. Yeah, this to me dehumidifier. We got it. I should say I got it, and within a day, the thing fills up like 2 buckets. I mean, this place is like a sauna, I guess, which sucks because there's all these books here, and it's like if I don't keep dehumidifying, I guess these things will just start to get shitty.
So how often do you empty it?
Well, nowadays I'm doing it like twice a day.
No kidding.
Yeah, it's crazy. I don't know why this room's so moist, but I guess the rain monsoon outside might play a role in this thing. course, if I empty it now, we're going to just hear it out. And, the motor running, so that doesn't make any sense. But all right, so did you look up the term oligarch? Because I looked it up, and it didn't seem that far off from what I was saying, even though I was using big, long-winded words.
Oligarchy, a very rich business leader with a great deal of political influence.
Sounds like what I said, kind of. Right?
From the privatization of a state-run industry after the collapse of the Soviet Union.
Okay, but the term has been kind of used for just any super billionaire who's very influential.
No, it's not only you use it that way.
Really? Okay, ladies and gentlemen, Oprah is not technically an oligarch, and I owe a massive apology to any of her fans there. I'm sorry. I will admit, I'll take the L. My ignorance might have caused some serious disarray in people's educational trust in this show. So I do apologize. There's nothing I'm going to be able to do to make amends for that. And I owe my family an apology, but we take our craft so seriously. I spent 6 years just working on the edits for this particular episode alone. So if this show has found any worth in your favor, share, hit a like, and subscribe. Thank you.